Hi folks, welcome to Ferrum Wrestling 411. I'm your host, Gary Holden. With me today is our head wrestling coach on the men's side, Nate Yetzer, and our new women's wrestling coach, Jessica Medina. Welcome.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Jessica, how's everything going? You're in your second full day of working at Ferrum now. How's everything been going?
Surprisingly, really well.
Getting acclimated to a new campus and everything is difficult sometimes, I know, and have you been getting around campus, meeting people? And
Oh yeah, everyone's been really friendly and welcoming. Everyone's been just helping me out as much as they can and taking the time to meet me, so it's been pretty nice.
Getting all set up in your office over at you're in the field house with the men's wrestling program. You guys all have offices upstairs.
Oh yeah, I need some pictures.
Pictures.
Yeah, I'll work on
Let's see
that.
I'll write a note here. Yeah, pictures for Jessica. So I'd like to talk a little bit about your background and everything. I know that you were a national champ. You wrestled for the University of Cumberland's. Talk a little bit about your experience there.
Okay, well, I wrestled 4 years in Kentucky, so that was a little bit of a culture shock for me, just coming out of high school, but it was a really awesome experience for me. It was back when there was only about 5 programs in the women's circuit. So, there wasn't a ton of options, but I had a lot of success there. I made a lot of lifelong friends within the wrestling circuit, and I enjoyed my 4 years academically and, on the mat, just really getting the full experience.
What did you study while you were there?
Public health, and then Spanish, and then didn't want to graduate early, so threw some business in there.
I hear you. You gotta finish your whole 4 year
I had more
experience.
time to wrestle.
You said it was a culture shock for you. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you came from and everything, what's your home state and everything.
Oh yeah, I am a SoCal girl, born and raised, and so there's a lot of girls wrestling there, but there's not any opportunities to wrestle in college there. So for me, I had just started wrestling when I was a junior in high school, and so even to make the decision to continue my career in college athletics was a shock for me, something my coaches really encouraged me to do. They thought I had a lot of potential, which I had no clue really, and I didn't even know what my opportunities were. So once I made the decision after the Fargo National Tournament, I decided to pack up my room at 17 and get on a plane by myself, and I hadn't even visited the college, so I was just praying everything was going to work out.
Well, hopefully it is working out for you. Well, Ferrum, Virginia, Southern California, fairly the same, right?
Yeah, same climate. Yeah.
Yeah, the people are really nice. They hold the door open for you.
I think you'll enjoy the people on campus and everything, and we're real excited about having you here. We're real excited about continuing with our wrestling program moving forward. We're coming into our 3rd year of the women's program. Of course, our men are going into the 5th year,
Right.
and real excited that now we're offering more opportunities for women wrestlers coming out of high school. Are the numbers getting bigger at high schools now for women's wrestlers?
Yeah, high school, college, youth wrestling, it's just really blown up in the last 5 years. Since I've been in high school, I know there's a lot more states that are working towards sanctioning, and there's a lot more numbers. The national tournament at the high school level is increased every single year. So, that's just great, expanding into the college circuit as well.
Well, I know that this past summer there was a movement by the Wrestle Like a Girl Foundation, I believe it was, where they're trying to get colleges and universities that already sponsor programs to write letters to the NCAA in support of trying to get it become an emerging sport. And we were one of the schools that did it. I know that Tom Brands at Iowa wrote a really, really good letter as well. And it looks as though it's being embraced now across the board, not just at Division III, the smaller schools, but it looks like the bigger schools now think that it's a foothold for us to establish more programs on campuses and everything.
Oh yeah, it's been amazing. I've been able to witness some of that. I know Sally, that she started Wrestle Like a Girl, and she's really gotten a lot of momentum. She's brought me on a little bit, and she's just involved a lot of the senior level athletes to really be hands-on and reach out, and she's just done an amazing job. So, at the end of the day, it's a team effort. And it started with the few coaches who wanted to dedicate themselves to women's wrestling, and then it became the smaller schools, and then now we have people like Tom Brands, Carrie Colott, John Smith supporting the movement. So
That's
it's pretty
great.
awesome. Yeah.
John Smith at Oklahoma State. That's
Yep.
pretty good. That's
Yep.
pretty good. Nate, you've seen the men's programs the last few years and everything. What are the men's programs seeing as far as the benefits for bringing both men's and women's on campuses?
Well, the idea to bring it here, was to just continue to grow our family, our wrestling family on campus, and and I think in any time you're a small men's sport, you're always concerned with Title IX, and obviously wrestling for a long time never had an equivalent. You know what I mean? And I think women's wrestling, with the growth of it at the high school level is exploding. And I think just made sense. And I think we're starting to see the benefit of that, and it's good to have that other element. I think in our wrestling facility over there too.
Sure.
Just
and we're going to talk about that facility in a few minutes, but we've got a beautiful facility over there. But Jessica, I'm not sure if you were aware of this, but Ferrum has had a history in the last 8 or 9 years now of adding more programs, and we have now, with women's golf coming on board next year, it will be our 8th sport that we've added in the past 9 years.
Wow.
So we're really starting to, and of those, over half of them are women's sports and everything.
Right.
Women's wrestling, women's
hockey,
golf, field hockey. We started women's swimming. And an equestrian program, which is mainly it's open to men and women, but it's mainly women basically, and so over half of them are women's programs. So I think we're moving towards that, trying to help ourselves with Title IX and everything.
Right, absolutely, yep.
And I know that a lot of schools, once we started the wrestling program, have started to come to us. Huntington, shortly after we started a wrestling program, started asking our president, "What did you guys do? Why did you start it? What were your numbers?
Right.
How about your facilities, startup costs?" Next thing you know, Huntington's got a program on board.
Right.
A year later, here comes Greensboro College. Hampton-Sydney transitioned their program from a club into a varsity program. Southern Virginia transferred from varsity.
Averett.
Yeah, Averett has now got a program and everything. I think people are starting to see the benefits, and I suspect very shortly, once Ferrum becomes a powerhouse in women's wrestling, they'll all be asking our president, what's going on with women's wrestling? Tell us a little bit more about that, and we might be able to see those coming in.
Trendsetters. We're trendsetters.
Yes. You heard it here, folks. Nate Yetzer says that we're trendsetters. Jessica, talk a little bit about your schedule. You've seen the schedule now. It's a small schedule, 7, 8, 9 events and everything. Is it what you feel you want to see here? Are there other events you'd like to see us get into in the future?
Oh, definitely. I think we have a set schedule. It's been kind of a crazy summer. I know for the girls, and I just came on board, so I think it's a good start. We've got to, get in the room, get prepared. Our first meet is the 14th, so we'll go down to Emmanuel. I think that's a good start, for us. And then
that was in Georgia.
In Georgia,
okay.
Yep. And then we will go to the Cumberland Duels, which will
be
good.
Back home to you, huh?
Yeah. But that's the beauty of the wrestling circuit and
you're not
the whole circle.
You're not expecting a big banner up there that says "Welcome Home, Jessica," right?
I'm expecting that from everyone. And then just taking the first part of the semester and really seeing where the girls are at, seeing where the program's at, laying the foundation. I think that's really important, and building a relationship with the team. So I think focusing on building that with them is going to be really important, and then we can build from there. And I'm excited. The opportunities are there, and everyone's just been really supportive, and I know that the team is extremely excited.
Talk a little bit about your roster for this year. I know you probably have just met the wrestlers and everything. What type of numbers are you looking at? Are we looking at a half dozen, a dozen, more?
I had about 18 girls
okay.
Yesterday. There's probably a few more. It was just our first meeting, so I know there's a couple of them doing other sports.
Okay.
So I was actually really surprised by that number, and I think from there it's just going to grow. And especially me being here and dedicated to the women's program, I think a lot of people in the area, will come to Ferrum even just to check it out, just
Sure.
because there's just not a ton of places in the East Coast. And
I think once you start a wrestling program, it's kind of one of those niche sports that people are really, dedicated to that.
Right.
And if they're coming to your school because of that sport, you've kind of fulfilled what you're doing. You're trying to advance the enrollment and everything. I think we have the facilities, we have clearly the coaching staff that can make our programs be successful. Nate's program has already found some great success, had a national ranking the last couple of years, a couple All-Americans, and I think that when you bring a program on campus like that and everything, it helps to get the name out about Ferrum College. And our roster, if I'm not mistaken, last year we had 3 from Alaska, 1 from California, 1 from Arizona, 2 from Texas. I mean, they're coming from everywhere now, and that's really got to help with getting Ferrum's name out there.
Oh yeah, we've got a girl from Florida. Like you said, I've met the girls from Alaska, and I was stunned.
Yeah.
And but same thing. I went to school in Kentucky, being from California, so that's kind of the nature of the sport.
Mm-hmm. Go where you can wrestle.
Oh yeah.
Good. Good. Well, we're excited about it. Nate, let's talk a little bit about the men's wrestling schedule a little bit. I know that we talked on the last show. You've moved one of your tournaments. The Star City Open has been moved to from the Hotel Roanoke, which was a very interesting environment there.
The hotel ballroom. Yeah, it was cool.
And now you've moved it into the Salem Civic Center. The program has grown.
We've expanded. The tournament's grown, and the goal is to eventually get up to maybe 20 teams and have it a 2-day tournament, or just keep it 1 day. But we've outgrown kind of that ballroom, and it was very pricey as well too, and it's a really nice hotel. I mean, dudes, with singlets on, running around the building. This is probably wasn't the best setting for this.
Very unique experience for me. I never
big chandeliers hanging down right the rest of the night. Yeah, it's cool though.
I'm in taking photos, and I had to continue to work on my camera light settings to get the right light settings, because you don't take wrestling photos inside of a ballroom.
I'm a big fan of hotel room. I love it. It's always been a dream of mine to have a match in there, but now we've outgrown it, and I think Salem Civic Center, they're awesome. They've hosted so many championships. And, they were really receptive and really helped us out a lot, with the pricing and everything. And so it just made sense. And we're really excited about that. We got Larry Hall who's going to be on board to help us out run that. And it's going to be great. And the night before, too, we wrestled Stevens, who obviously was
nationally ranked program.
Yeah, they'll start off the year probably 3rd or 4th in the country. And, we'll probably be in the top 15, I'm sure. So there's a lot of great things happening to our schedule. The schedule hasn't really changed a whole lot from last year, to be honest with you. We kind of kept a lot of things similar, just worked out date-wise. I'm going to national duels again, just highlighting some of the bigger events. Going to national duels again, and we don't know where regionals are yet, but unless you want to put a bid in, Gary. I think we'll pass on that this year. But
another 11th hour bid?
Yeah. No, but you work New Standard, you work Invitational at the beginning of December. That's always a big match. We're going to kick off the year. We dual meet Washington Lee up at their place this year, which is always a good rival. And they're only getting better and better every year. So that'll be an interesting duel this year. So
they picked up some nice wrestlers last year.
Absolutely. They got a few more coming in this year. So
Nate Shearer's doing a great job.
Great job. Yep. So I think we'll be a totally different team second semester. Just waiting on a few other kids to come in, and guys developing. We have a few, pretty big shoes to fill, some weight classes to fill, and I think it's going to depend on these freshmen, and their biggest growth usually comes from first semester, second semester. So it'd be interesting. People ask me around campus all the time, "Well, are we going to be good this year? Are we going to be good?" I'm like, ask me in January or February, because they don't have a true idea how good we're going to be. So
right. And one of your former wrestlers, three-time NCAA qualifier, Logan Meister, he's going to be back on campus helping you a little bit this year.
Yeah, helping with our strength and conditioning program, and going to be in the room a little bit too. So
good. Well, he'll help being in the room a little bit. He can go with the masses. There's no doubt about it. So. And like I said, we don't know anything about the regionals just yet and everything. The nationals are being contested in Cleveland this year.
Right, yep.
And of course, next year, Ferrum is hosting the national championship.
Absolutely.
So I'm pretty excited about that. So Larry Hall called me last week. I've got to get to him. Larry, I owe you a phone call, sorry. But get back with him and start setting things up for next year and everything.
Yep.
So Jessica, I noticed also that on the men's schedule, we have the national duels, and it looks as though the women's schedule, it's tentatively put in there as well.
Yeah.
Is that something you think we'll go to this year?
Planning on it, if we can confirm that.
Okay. Where's it? Is back in Fort Wayne this year?
Yeah, back in Fort Wayne,
Indiana.
Okay. That was a really cool experience going up with the team, with the women's team too last year, and it was a great environment too. Awesome place to have it. You walk in and it feels like a national tournament.
Yeah.
Which anything we do, we try to simulate obviously the national tournament. Just to get guys used to it. That's why we do national duels, and we go to Pete Wilson every year. So
is that sponsored by military? Is it
the Marine Corps? Yeah. Okay. Usually, I'm not sure this year, but usually it's sponsored by the Marine Corps. Yeah.
Well, you would think that's a smart thing for them to sponsor. Anytime you can get men and women wrestlers to come into the Marines, they're pretty easy. They're pretty rugged and pretty tough, and that's what they need and everything. Yep. So. Let's talk a little bit about the facility. You and I talked a while ago about this, and Jessica, I'm sure Nate's made you aware they're doing some changes over at the Hank Norton Fieldhouse, not to be confused with the Hank Norton Center, which we're sitting in right now. but the field house has a wrestling room in it right now. It has some locker rooms, some space over there. Talk a little bit about some of the changes that are coming in there, Nate.
Well, I mean, school has made a huge investment in the wrestling, and going forward. They're continuing to make huge investments in wrestling. And to be honest, I think that's why I'm here. Coach Riggs is here, and Jessica's here. Because I think she sees that the school is really behind wrestling. This is no different. They're going to do it first class, but it renovates all the locker spaces, the offices. That's all going to get renovated in the lounge area, all that stuff. We're going to get a kitchen put in there. Obviously, with wrestling. Their dietary needs is really, really important, more important than probably any other sport. So to have all those resources in house, and it's going to be really, it's a great thing. So
did I hear something about a deck coming out the back part of the
like
building
a recruiting deck coming out back. Lounge areas probably going to shrink a little bit with the growing women's program. We need to increase their locker space and just do it first class. And I think. I think having obviously you and Abe, our athletic director Abe Naff, and George Seals, who's the Vice President of Institutional Advancement. I think those guys want to do it the right way.
And they're the driving forces behind this.
Yep. So they want to do it the right way, and so I'm really excited. I think my office is going to shrink a little bit, which I'm very discouraged about, but.
You've got some pretty good square footage to work with already.
I know. I got 4 kids though, Gary. They got to be running around somewhere. So no, but it's great, man. I couldn't be happier where we're heading as a program, and just heading into 2019, which obviously when I first took this job, the 7-year plan was 2019. And now we're hosted. We won the bid to host nationals. Things are falling into place. Our junior classes, love those guys. Did an awesome job. Great workers. They'll be seniors that year, and got some great freshmen, sophomores, and it's definitely exciting. So
well, we're excited. I'm excited to see how these plans are going to come along. I understand that the men's and women's coaches are going to have locker rooms over there as well.
Absolutely, yep.
And then downstairs, the locker rooms are going to be renovated and you mentioned and everything. So
one big locker room too. Right now we have a split locker room team between the club team and the varsity team, and we're a family, so we need to all be together. Obviously, we can't put the women's locker room.
Sure.
If we could, we would.
Now the wrestling room itself is about 4 strips of mat, so it's about 1 1/3 wrestling mats. And I know that down the road a ways, the future is to expand outside, have a second room in there, or maybe 1 or maybe 2 rooms combined together and everything. So
phase 2 would be to increase the room, double the size in the room by increasing another 1.5 mat in the back of the building. There'd be some type of tier where we'd have the first mats. And then the tier, and the second mats, and a cardio area in between.
Nice.
Just looking at the plans, and obviously that's phase 2. That's a couple years down the road, but it's nice to see that on paper. That the school is actually it's something that we're thinking about, which is important.
You guys have both seen a lot of wrestling rooms at different schools and everything. How does Ferrum stack up with what other schools are doing with their wrestling facilities?
Well, as far as most of the programs that have a women's and men's team, I would say, just having our own building, the locker room. I mean, for right now, it's a good space as the team expands. I'm excited to hear that they're going to expand that. I think even just, where the coaches are at of the office, I like that area. We're able to communicate. The wrestlers have a place to kind of come and communicate, like hang out in the lounge. So that's been pretty cool. The building to me, I mean, there's not a lot of schools with just a wrestling building on campus. So that was pretty cool to see.
It's going to be a nice drawing point for you as a wanting to coach somewhere.
Yeah, that's exciting. And even when I was just out here to visit, and I had heard about the plans, and I just thought, wow, it wasn't just we're expanding the men's part of the program, we're going to expand the women's, we need this, and it was just a lot of equal say and equal opportunity, and so I already knew that was going to be the feel going into the year. So.
Well, I know Director of Athletics Abe Naff, he's very much of the opinion that the 2 programs, they will share the premier practice opportunities, premier gymnasium time and everything. He's very much of the opinion, make sure that everything is equal. He's talked to Nate and Ryan. You guys, I'm sure, are going to work together to make that help and everything. We'll help you. Anything we can do administratively, we'll help you guys out, absolutely. So.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I want to see the women's program be every bit as successful as the men's. Man, that's important to me. Just for the fact, and listen, my name's on it too. You know what I mean? Like, when I was here when it was started getting going, and obviously interviewed Jess, and So I think, I mean, I want it to be successful too, you know. And,
Sure.
you know, I think, you know, we hired the right person, obviously, and I think, you know, it's great things coming ahead now. As long as we keep investing in wrestling, which the school is, you know, very made clear that they're going to. It's a great future ahead.
Well, I think we've made good hires in both persons for our wrestling programs. We're
Riggs
really
and
pleased.
Jessica, yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
yes, yeah. You're throwing in there as well. And Ryan Riggs, who was our women's coach last year,
Right.
when our former women's coach left, Ryan stepped in, and now he's back as your assistant, and he's done an amazing job. And now he's coaching cross country as well. So
Yeah.
he's a gamer. He's a guy that gets things done.
He's
So no doubt about it. And I know about people being busy. So
Yeah, really.
So, well, Jessica, we've been doing this show during the season. We do it about once a week. In the off season, we do about once every 2 weeks,
Yep.
maybe once a month or so.
Right,
So we'd
yeah,
like
yeah.
to have you start coming on, bring some of your wrestlers on, talk a little bit about things, how they're going and everything. Win, lose, or draw, you know, we have you on the show. And as Abe Naft loves to say, he's like, we're with you, win or tie.
He sure does. I already know that.
Well, we're real excited about the season coming up ahead of us and everything. And folks, we'll come back here in about 2 weeks. We'll come back and do another episode of Ferrum Wrestling 411. We'll be with either head coach Jessica Medina or head coach Nate Yetzer. And thanks for coming on the show today, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Gary. Appreciate it.
you.
All right, folks. Well, that's it for Ferrum Wrestling 411. I'm your host, Gary Holden. For these two coaches right here, we'll see you next time. Thanks for being with us.